Hey y'all, welcome. I hope that your day has been awesome. Your day, your afternoon, your evening, your weekend, all of the above. I hope that you've had an awesome day. I have been celebrating because Brian and I did the Richmond Marathon yesterday morning, and it was frigid. And amazing at the same time. We have not had the cold temperatures here in Richmond that we encountered on Saturday morning, which was 25 degrees at the start line, and I believe it got up to 37 by the time we finished, like around noonish. So it was freezing, but it was all good. We had stuff to keep us warm, hot hands, hand warmers. These things are amazing, by the way. As well as like all the cold weather gear, gloves, warm layers, tights, all of the above. So it was an incredible experience, and I was very, I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, because Richmond has so many people that come out and support the races, the marathon in particular. But there were still a lot of people out, and I was so proud of our city just coming out and supporting everybody, and seeing the bands and all the people and all the awesome signs. By the way, the best sign that I saw was there was a 5-year-old boy. He was holding this sign in one of the neighborhoods. It was around, I want to say, the 8 to 9 mile mark, and it read, "It's so cold, I just farted a snowflake." And it was just hilarious. The other one was, the second funniest one was, "Don't worry, you'll get toenails for Christmas." And for me, we started our training in April. This was the most conservative training program that I've ever followed, that I've ever created and followed. For a race, for a marathon in particular. And we had decided back in April that we were going to go ahead and do it. So I said, well, might as well start training now. So we had a very, very conservative, adding 1 mile a week, to our long runs. And it was great. It was beautiful. But it was cool that we logged 824 miles. And we completed that on Saturday morning with the race. So with the training program itself, we logged 798 miles from April until November 10th. And then November 11th, we made it 824. So I'm still a little bit congested. I thankfully did not cough up a lung yesterday. If you recall, I was on heavy, high, recovery duty all week, trying to make sure that I get enough sleep, make sure I really take care of my body, make sure I don't overwork, because I have that tendency to do so. I'll get, wrapped up in my work because I get so passionate about it and excited about it, and all the things that I can do. And if you're anything like me, the to-do list never actually ends. Regardless of if you're running your own business, your own enterprise, or if you're working for a company, the to-do list really never ends. There's always something else that you can do. So I really had to dial down on saying, okay, here are my boundaries, here are my limits. I am done at X time, and I am in bed at X time. And it was glorious, the amount of rest. And that's something that I'm actually working to continue moving forward, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then how can we take care of everybody else? How can we give something that we don't have ourselves? And there's so many studies out there on the power of getting enough rest, of getting enough recovery, getting enough rejuvenation, and how it boosts our energy levels, how it boosts our creativity and the actual performance of our work and the quality of our lives. It's not just, hey, sleep more and you'll feel better. It's seriously, if we sleep more, if we sleep enough and get quality sleep and really focus on making sure that we rejuvenate ourselves and recover ourselves after, the end of the workday, then we show up better in our relationships. We show up better with our families and our friends and our significant others and, other things that we want to do. So I love how that all works together. And that's definitely, it's a point that I am making in my life to make sure that I am setting those boundaries and saying, okay, work's done for today. But all that being said, I wanted to show you guys this medal that we got finishing the marathon. And I have to do a quick little shout out to Brian because this was his first marathon. And he did so fantastic. We were at mile, I want to say 23 or 24, and we only trained up to 20 miles. So that last like 10K, there's 6.2 miles left that are still unknown. And particularly like if it's your first marathon, you don't know what those are going to feel like until you do them. And it's funny because I feel like I have this selective memory that always says like, all right, we're trained, I feel good, I feel fresh, I'm ready. And then like there's this formidable challenge called the full marathon, 26.2 miles, that says, oh, you think so? And you get to that mile and you're like, oh, okay. You really have to dig deep in those places. And I was like, I looked over and I was like, you know, we can't leave anything out on this course. We have to put it all out here because we're going to be mad if we don't. And I think that was like a beautiful way of looking at it, is like, if anything in our lives, you know, like this is the moment right here, right now. We only have today once, right? Tomorrow's going to be entirely different, maybe slightly different, but it's still going to be different, right? So how can we absolutely maximize today and not leave anything on the table? Like, don't be, you know, silly or, you know, do stupid stuff. But I wrote a post about this the other day that said, like, be smart, but don't leave anything on the table. Like, if there's something that you want to do and you have the ability to do it, like, I have skydiving on my list over the next year. That's one of my goals that I want to do. I had it on tap for this year, but I kind of moved a few things. I want to go skydiving. It scares the crap out of me. I was afraid of heights since I was a kid. It was something that my mom used to talk about. She would explain to me her, you know, I would see and feel her fear of heights, and I adopted that myself as well. And so really anytime that like I get the chance to like go on a roller coaster or go to a high building, like, and I will specifically, I will look over the side just to feel the fear and say, you're not going to stop me from anything. Anyway, tangent. But don't leave anything on the table. Like, if that's something that you want to do, maybe you're afraid of it, but do it. Don't leave it there. Don't live in a state of regret that says like, oh, I really wish, you know, like one day you don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have done that. So don't leave it on the table. If it scares you, like dig into that and say like, why? And ask if it's a valid reasoning. I had the opportunity, I got LASIK last March, and it was scary, and I was afraid of it because, you know, I'd been wearing contacts and glasses for a while, and they were driving me crazy. I had like forgotten my glasses one day and I was speaking in front of a crowd, and I was so aggravated because I couldn't see the details. I was nearsighted, so I couldn't look in people's eyes from across the room. I was just kind of like talking at them, and I knew like, okay, I am connecting, but I didn't feel connected because I couldn't really look in their eyes. And so that was aggravating to me. So I said one of the investments that I do want to make in myself is to put money towards getting LASIK surgery. And it's scary because like, oh gosh, like you're awake the entire time. And I had to like really prime myself and say, okay, fear is excitement without the breath. Fear is excitement without the breath. Breathe. All right, this is a 10-minute procedure. Lots of people have done it. Lots of people have had no complications. All right, you know, and then you're in the middle of it and you're like, oh my God, like my eye is open, but I'm not seeing anything. And you just have to remember that and go back to it and say, breathe. Everything's gonna be okay. Most people have zero difficulty with this. I will be one of those people. So, this is the medal. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Check this thing out. It is hefty. It's, how can I make noise with it? Big, heavy. It's pretty. It's got a little gem on top. This was their 40th anniversary, which was really cool. Like the first marathon in Richmond was 1978. And you see people running in like cotton gear, and they were really bundled up, which I thought was interesting. But then again, we were too this Saturday. So this is just one of those really cool things, like, you know, something to commemorate. And I appreciate that they give it to everybody. So, you know, everybody went out there and, you know, had prepared to whatever extent that they knew to prepare. And it was really fun. And one of the things that I really took away from it was this wasn't my first rodeo. This was my sixth marathon. And it was my first marathon within the past 3 years. And the really cool thing for me was that, see, I did my first marathon in 2012. And I got really excited in my training leading up to it. And then also afterwards saying like, oh gosh, I'm so close to my Boston qualifying time. Like, let me push for that. And then over the course of 2 years, so from 2012 to 2014, I did 5 marathons total, among other things. Like I did 2 ultra marathons. I competed in a couple of triathlons. Like I was really, 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 really active. And at the end of 2014, my body was like, can you take a break, please? Like, can you not run for a little bit? Can you not train for something? And so I listened to it, and thus here I am today, 3 years later. Now I finally came back and did it again. But my biggest thing was that my goal of performance, my goal of saying like, I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon. I'm 3 minutes away from it. I am not far. And I know that I'm going to get it, regardless of anything. With time passing, the qualification gets easier. I'm not the person that's going to say, well, let me wait 6 years and then try, but I'm not putting that pressure on myself. I want to see what I'm capable of. And I lost that along the way. I became so much more performance minded, saying like, okay, I really need to do this. I need to do this. I need this. And it was more so attached to trying to bolster my worth, my self-worth, or my credibility, particularly because I became a personal trainer. I became a run coach. And that was like, in my mind at the time, it would make me more credible and someone that others would want to listen to. And so I was really like leaning upon that and kind of striving after it and trying to grab it and force it. And it took all of the joy away from this activity of running that I had found such joy and excitement and just possibility in. And so that was part of the reason that I really had to put it on the shelf for a while, because the joy was gone. I didn't really want to do it anymore. It was just all about the performance and all about this time and all about, trying to measure my success on those time splits. And that was the cool thing about coming back this year. Like, it was Brian's first marathon, and I got to like relive that first like joy and excitement through his eyes. And that was really, really cool, because I was like, yeah, I know what this, when we were talking about it in April, and we both got excited about it after the Monument Avenue 10K here in Richmond, which is a 6.2 mile race. All these people, all this good energy, all this excitement. And like, if you ever go out and spectate at one of these things, you want to do something, you want to participate. Like, it is contagious. And we came out from the 10K. I had spectated, and he walked it with his mom. And we were starting to talk about the marathon, and he, we were like, I said, do you want to do it? Do you want to train for it? And I knew what it entailed. I knew, like, all right, this is going to be 7 months of training. It's going to be hundreds of miles of running. It's going to be early mornings. It's going to be sore muscles. It's going to be, making sure that we get the nutrition that we need, that we get the sleep that we need, that we focus on recovery. Like, it's very life calibrating, if you will. And it's one of the reasons that I really like it. It's like, hey, you set a goal, you pick a date, and you create this program, and you basically, you regulate your life around it. So many facets of life are centered around this. And so I knew whenever I said that, like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I knew all of the things that it encapsulated. And I kind of chuckled to myself because, he just had the excitement. And it was cool seeing the whole experience through his eyes and being really, really excited for him, and thinking back about my first marathon experience and what it meant to me. I was going through a really hard time in my life. I like to say or joke that I was running from my problems. I'd gone through a separation the same month that I ran my first marathon, and it was just like this very tumultuous, stressful time. And I had ran that one alone, and it was just, to look back on it, I just had this joy and expectation of positivity and possibility of what I could do with it, because it was like, wow, like it's amazing that the human body can run 26 miles. So I share all of this to share my experience with you, to share my thoughts, the fact that I'm excited not to be so hardwired on finding my worth or finding my credibility, or, really I have to draw it back to finding my worth in, saying, oh, I'm a Boston qualifier. I can run, this distance within this time. And I think that applies to a lot of things in life, like where we can kind of attach to different things and say, well, if I have that, then it's going to give me this. Like if I have the house, the car, the body, right, the fitness, the clothing, the whatever, the lifestyle, then I'm going to be happy, or I'm going to be good. I'm going to be worth it. Like finding our worth in these things, having them validate us as human beings, or deeming us as deserving of whatever have you, XYZ. Who are we if we find our worth in outside things? Our worth does not come, in my opinion, our worth does not come from outside anything. It comes from inside of us and our knowledge and understanding of it. And if we don't have that knowledge and understanding, well, then that's the first place to start. Because we all have an inherent worth. We're all here, and we all have a right to be here. That is absolutely what I believe about that. So that is my story, my little race recap. I hope that, if you went out, if you ran, I hope you had a great time. If you've never experienced something like this, and it sounds like kind of fun and exciting, it's a lot. It is amazing. It is an epic journey that I totally advocate. And if I can help you in any way, like if you've got, fitness goals, like you want to accomplish something like that, or you want to feel better in your own skin, or you want to just not feel like you're trying to get your worth from how you feel about yourself or how you look. But you do want to be healthier, you do want to be more active, you do want to focus on your health and your fitness and your wellness, and make sure that you're taking care of you so that you can take care of everybody else in your life and all your responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. Reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Please share any of your, let me know if you ran this weekend. Let me know if you've experienced something like this. Leave it in the comments below, or send me a message, send me some love. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I'd love to continue the conversation. What do you think about what I just said about worth and how it comes from inside of us versus being attributed to outside things? Even relationships. Some people feel like crud if they're not in a relationship. That's whole nother story. So I look forward to talking with you. Continue the conversation with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk with you soon.